hopefully I'm still in service here. The recruiting services are great, and CSA and Be Recruited and lovemyvideo.com, whatever it is, they're all wonderful. But at the end of the day, I know if I get an email and it's from a recruiting service and you have no idea who I am or what my school is, I am deleting your email and you are not getting a response. So we get thousands and thousands of emails. We want to hear from you, just like the other coaches said. I don't want to hear from mom and dad. I don't want a blanket email from a recruiting service. It's a great start, but if you're serious about the school, email Coach King, email Coach Corbelli, email any of us directly. You're going to get a response rather than just using the recruiting service. Use that to have your videos on, great, use it as a starting point, but if you're really serious about a school, make sure you're reaching out to us personally.
Very good. All right, next question, I'm going to kick this over to Karen. This question states, if a recruit has been in communication with a college coach for several months through email, text, visits, camps, at what point do you speak up? Like if the coach does not come out and make you an offer, but does continue to stay in contact and show interest?
It's a great question. I think a lot of coaches, don't necessarily know who's going to end up committing to their programs in Division III because you don't have sort of an offer to sign like you would in some of the athletic scholarship divisions. So, a lot is contingent on people being admitted to your university, and that's an unknown sometimes. So I think in Division III, you have to recruit a larger group than maybe you would in some other divisions, just because you don't know at the end of the day if the family is going to be able to finance the education and be admitted to your university. So those are two unknowns that coaches work with all the time. So they would have to keep a larger pool sort of interested and in communication with, but you might be lower on that depth chart, lower on that list of potential prospects that they're looking at. And I think it's fair to ask a coach, where am I on your list? And really get a sense for where that coach thinks you'd fit into their program. Or, are you 20th on the list and you just don't know if those other 19 are going to come or not? So I think it's fair to reach out to the coach and ask some specific direct questions, and hopefully you can get some very direct answers.
Does anyone want to chime in on that?
I would just from the Division I perspective, I think every single situation is slightly different, and I think every coach has different strategies on how they're going to get the commitments that they really want, and things that they say to kids that are still on the list and very high on the list, but maybe not the one they are ready to offer. That's a very intricate time of the recruiting process. It's very stressful. The kids know it, the coaches know it. And I've heard of things from a coach telling 3 girls the same night, I'm going to offer the same one to you that I offer Susie and Betty. And the first one that says yes to me gets it. And that's some people's style. And, that's, I think, but when you're in the recruiting process, maybe even asking, what is your style? What are you likely to do as it comes down to the kids that you're going to really have in your top 3? And, just getting a feel for how that's going to work, because you may be thinking and be led to believe you're number 1. And then all of a sudden you get told, you have to decide that night if you're going to make that decision, and you've got other coaches that you're talking to as well. It's really can be very stressful, and that's why I think what Coach Farrell said, reach out and ask those questions in the process, as well as when you start to get other offers, but you aren't getting an offer from your top school yet. That's a whole nother situation. You've got to know what to say to those coaches, because you don't want to lose that opportunity if you don't have your first opportunity. And so, that's where guidance from club coaches and from parents and from people who really know you and know your career and know your dreams and your hopes, that can help guide you when you're trying to, you know, that stressful 5 days where it's all starting to come down to a decision. And so I think that the more that you can sense the trust of what the coaches are telling you, I think some coaches, you really do believe what they're saying, and some of them you're just not so sure. And some of them will come out and say, you're number 3 of my top 3, and I have 2 scholarships, you know, and just put it out there. This is the way it is. And, you know, and a lot of them won't do that. So I don't know. I think you just as you're going through the process, get that feel and get a gut feel for what you're dealing with. And are you, you know, is this the kind of relationship that you want to deal with if you go and play there? I think that it's a telltale sign in a lot of ways.
Yeah, as we are coaches, and that's what it says next to our names on the websites and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're in the business of building relationships with student athletes and building relationships between student athletes and other student athletes to make sure that we can go out and achieve our goal of being successful in the classroom and on the court. So if you don't trust or you don't feel comfortable asking a coach, hey, what's going on? Is that really a relationship that you want? You want somebody building that relationship with you, and you want to build a relationship with that program. So I would kind of say if you are in a situation where you feel like a coach is stringing you along because, you know, maybe they're holding off for something better, or you're just kind of stuck in this spot, ask them. And if you get that kind of weird feeling, then maybe that's not the place to go. Or, you know, hey, they might be like, oh, you know, maybe we just didn't know if you were ready for us to make you an offer. So then they go ahead and make the offer and everything's fine. So you just kind of have to feel it out and see where you're at in that sense.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody's saying there. It is a two-way street. We're recruiting kids. Kids are trying to pick the school they want to go to. There has to be a trust factor involved in there. You know, as we're trying to pick out kids we fit in our program, you need to find out if that's the school that's going to fit into your needs. You know, and you have to look at that, and you just have to be upfront. If one of the two is not being upfront with each other, then it's not going to be a good fit. So you need to be able to look at that. As we're looking at kids to be honest with us, kids need to look at coaches. Are they being honest with you?
Awesome. I think we have time for one last question. So after this, we'll kind of wrap this up. But I think this kind of is just a general, just advice. Just what advice do you have for parents, the student athletes, the club directors, as far as like this time, like just what can you tell them? Like what advice do you have for them?
I think there's the positive of this time of being on pause is that there's just a lot more opportunity to kind of reflect on really what you're looking for in your college experience and really start to do some research that maybe you didn't have time to do between traveling to your club practices. Now you can do them in your living room. So you have, you know, maybe an extra hour a day that you didn't have before. So you can spend that time really doing some research on colleges and some real reflection on sort of what are the things that are going to be the priorities for you in the next 4 to 6 years if you're a junior in college, and how are you going to, or a junior in high school, and how are you going to prepare yourself for those opportunities that you're looking for, and reach out to those schools that you're most interested in, and, you know, send some video that reflects you as a player, and then see, you know, what kind of responses you get from those programs. But really take it on as the athlete taking on that piece as opposed to the club coaches reaching out or the parents reaching out. I think it's a great time to really expedite the maturity of our high school sophomores and juniors to start to make those connections with those coaches.
I would say stay positive and work hard. I mean, right now you're at home. You might not be able to do everything you can for, you know, whether it comes to, you know, the weightlifting you're probably doing during club or playing other sports that you were doing now, but stay active. Do not use this time. We were talking before. It's been like 6 weeks or so. you're sitting on your butt right now, it's not going to go well coming into the summer. Stay active, whether it's going outside for a walk, around the block with, or just doing jumping jacks in your bedroom. Stay active and so that you're not behind when we come back to play, because hopefully, fingers crossed, we're coming back to play pretty soon. And then, when you're researching programs, research deep, research the programs of the school of what you're going to want to major in, look into what, side the academically it is, attractive to you, along with volleyball. At our school, we don't have as many majors as most schools do. And it's really tough when I have to turn kids away that are pretty good and would fit in really well because we don't have their major. So if you do that research now, then you can, kind of either, take a broad section of schools and kind of narrow it down to, okay, I want schools that, let me be a nurse. I want to go to schools that have, microbiology or something like that, so you have to kind of research that and, okay, well, I have this opportunity here. You can kind of get into that area of schools.
I would also tell everyone, sorry, I would just say breathe. Remember, everyone's in the same boat. No one's going on visits right now. No one's playing in tournaments. You're not the only one, although it feels like you're the only one because you're having your own experience. So you're not falling behind. Everyone is in this together. Everyone is going to have to take the same pause. So just take a breath. Enjoy the time that you have that's downtime that none of us ever get, and kind of try and see the positive sides of it.
I would add, stay inspired to continue to improve. This is a great time to not only work on being stronger and all of that, but I think the mental side is such a huge part of success in college sports and any sports. But as you go to the next level, you have, am I coachable? Do I take everything the coach says and think that I'm terrible? How's my competence? How's my focus? All of the things that there's so many resources out there and books you can read and athletes you can watch that can inspire you, and you can learn from watching them compete at high levels, how they are with their teammates. What does that look like? And man, I just find it can be so easy to get inspired when you watch, documentaries like we're getting to watch Michael Jordan now and his story. What a motivating story, and things that we can learn from that. And, there's a spot for everybody. There's a spot for people that really, really want to do it and become great at something. And you're very fortunate if you get on a team at any level, because so many kids do not get that kind of opportunity to have teammates surrounding them in their college years. They'll turn out to be your maid of honor in your wedding. They're going to turn out to be some of the best friends you'll have forever and ever. And so if you really, really want to compete in college and continue your career as long as you can, and I highly recommend playing volleyball as long as you can if you love it, then do more than just the physical strengthening and the academic work, but work on your mental game. It's quite fragile for a lot of athletes. And I believe that you can find ways in the world that help you become stronger mentally and emotionally, and not crack at the slightest rolled eyes at you, or little bitty things that are going to happen as you get more and more competitive. So I don't know. I think that's a really important aspect that I would give advice to do those types of things.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everybody said, but there's, this is a time where they have time. You can communicate with that coach, but us coaches have time too. We can communicate back with you. And like I said, there are a lot of things you can do. You want to work out at home, just go on your computer. There's all sorts of workouts they put up there for you to do. They're right now on the TV, they're showing all of last year's games. Watch a game. See how they play at that high level. Not just watch a game. Watch your position. What's that player doing that plays that left side or right side or middle or DS? Watch what they do. learn by watching your position that you think you're going to be playing. But I just think at the time, use this time to your advantage.